Hello and welcome to Season 4 of the Sunday Podcast, presented by sportsshoes.com. I'm Ollie Lum.
And I'm Matt Seddon.
This podcast is all about elite distance running in the UK.
We're here to give you all the latest news updates around the sport,
as well as weekly interviews with athletes and coaches.
Stay up to date by following us on Instagram and X at Sunday Podcast.
And make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel too, where we post athlete workout videos, shoe reviews and more.
Thanks for listening, and as always, we hope you enjoy the episode.
Hello guys, welcome back to another episode. As you can see from the title, Georgia Bell back on the Sunday Podcast. So look, great interview that we had with her quite a few weeks ago now, Matt. So we'll get into that in a bit. But mate, more action on the road with Valencia last weekend first.
Yeah, man. I mean, the one thing we didn't talk to Georgia Bell about though was her wedding. So congratulations to her. And is she even called Georgia Bell now? Like, will she take on her husband's surname? All to be revealed. But no, mate. Let's to Valencia, a world record. I watched this one, and obviously Valencia in the news now because of the flooding. It was raining during the half, and it just clearly hasn't stopped. So, been unfortunate the level of floods they've had over there. But yeah, incredible race, and just what's interesting is just like, so consistent. Like, there was probably one of the most. I haven't gone back through the record books and stuff and seen how consistent previous records and stuff were, but I know for a fact the last two weren't as consistent as what Kajelcha did. I mean, look, 13:38, 13:34, 13:34, 13:36, and whatever the last K is to crown that off. But so consistent, halfway at 27:12, runs up, ends in 57 or 10K, sorry, in 27:12, ends up in 57:30. So just incredible running.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And how do you run a world record on the road by such a small margin? Like, it takes 1 second off the old one. And look, I'm sure he's glad he ran through the line, to be honest.
Well, it was funny because he was just like, at one point it looked like he was going to smash it, and then the clock was just, I was like, because when they come and you see the advertisers board, you're like, they must be real close to the finish now, and it just seemed to drag, and yeah, you're right. And on the electronic clock, I think it even looked like he just missed it. But yeah, 57:30, huge run, and a lot of boys, how these things work out. A lot of boys try to go with him, and he made. It was funny because I think it was like around about 15K. He made what looked like a massive move to you and me at home, and I'm thinking, Jesus, he is just throwing it down. He's absolutely drilling clear of these men. But it might have been at the time, but it didn't reflect in his overall 5K split. So they kind of slowed it, and then he's just put in a big surge for a few hundred meters and just dropped them. And people like Daniel Matejko and there was another guy with him as well, just completely faded at the time, and he just hammered home the last 5K completely solo, which is even more impressive because, like we said, when we've had these, women's world records have been in discussion the last few weeks, across the last 12 months as well, and they've always had company there, whether it be a male pacer, like we haven't seen people just have to drill it from a long way out, and that's what Kajelcha did on the weekend. So I mean, and this guy's range is phenomenal. Obviously, people talk about him being a indoor mile world record holder as well. And yeah, and we had Almgren on last week. I thought his range is impressive. Kajelcha takes it to new heights.
Yeah, that's one thing I was going to say to you, mate. Like, where does Yomif Kajelcha go from here? Because he's been on the circuit for a number of years now. I guess like you thought when he first went to NOP that maybe that was really the time that he might, I guess, go and win like a major track title, for example, like being based around that group. But with a half PB like that, like running that well on the roads, I know the marathon is a big step up, but like, do you start thinking about that, or do you just say, look, I'm clearly the strongest I've ever been. I'm going to have another year where I have a crack on the track, because he just hasn't quite, I guess, reached the heights that maybe we've expected of him.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for him to deliver, isn't it, on the big stage? He just hasn't quite been able to. But I think just in half marathons in general, though, like, have they just become an event that it's basically a 10K? I just think super shoes have changed half marathons and how
Mm.
they run and how fast you can go. Like, I just think of it as training. A professional's 10,000 meter runner's training, I don't think they would change it an inch to run a good half. I don't know what they because if you're if you're a guy like Kajeltra and you can run 26:30 over 10,000, you bet your life he's already racking up really really high mileage. He's already doing some big long runs in there. He'll be doing high volume, 16 to 20K sort of sessions. I have no doubt. And so yeah, I just feel like the half for professionals is quite an easy distance. I think they can almost just train like they would for a 10K. Maybe they wouldn't do quite it, maybe they drop a teeny bit of intensity on that real sharp end stuff if you're training for a championship 10K. But I can't imagine their training changes too much at all and they just hit it. And if anything, it feels really smooth for the first 10 or so K because and look, I might be completely naive here, but because it's basically just all of these guys' threshold and tempo, and it's like a pace they just know they can hold.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, mate. Like I totally agree, but I still think the when you run 57:30, like your marathon potential is obviously huge. Um, I'm not saying it'll be easy, but yeah, you just wonder if that's something.
I think he's a little too sharp. I think he's a little too sharp, to be honest with you. Um, and I just think, he's come off a track season as well, so. And it's funny because Kip Limo, the same, when he broke the world record in 2021, he came off a terrific track season. He'd ran 26:30 on the track, and that was in old spikes as well, one of the most impressive solo 10Ks I've ever seen in Strava. And
Numbers.
he was in the Mambas, mate. It was
Yeah.
sickening. It was just nuts what he threw down. I'm sure the race is somewhere on YouTube, but like that for me just went completely under the radar. Anyway, he went and ran the half, world record pretty much the same, similar time of year as Chikuji Ultra, and he just came off a really good track season. I think with the half, you have to have come off a good 5K, 10K season to really like how quick they're running now is ridiculous. Going through 10K in 27 teens to attack it. So yeah, I think we would see potentially. Not maybe not quite a chapter guy. Obviously, he's going to be able to run fast, but I do think he's just got a little bit too much sort of sharper stuff in his legs at the moment.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Obviously, I don't mean more right now. Actually, in the next couple of years, like he's had quite a few attempts at major um track champs. And I'm obviously not saying he's like done like really badly or anything like that. But I think like an athlete of his caliber, we almost like just waiting for him to win a big one, you know.
mm, that everyone does it now, right? Everyone just moves to the roads.
Mm.
I think there's just more than ever. There's exposure in it as well, and I think it's just an easy. If an athlete wants to buy 2 or 3 more years on their career, maybe even 5 years on their career, they can just go to the roads, get paid the same.
Yeah,
It's low key. I don't want to say it's easier, but I think the track is ruthless. Like the minute like for someone like Kajelcha, the minute he starts running like 27 minutes, he's a nobody. Like there's 4 or 5 Ethiopians who are quicker than him, so they will beat him into the Diamond Leagues. And then, he's not going to turn up to a World or Olympic Games because he won't qualify. And so it's like for these guys, they're just there. They may as well bump up the distance.
mm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And let's get into the women's side of that Valencia half as well, because look, we had a pretty fast race on there as well with and Getic
Oh
miss,
yeah,
missing out
the
by
old
like
Agnes.
yeah,
Yeah, literally. And again, I think I text you at the time. And was just like, oh my God, we're gonna see another crazy record go down. Because if 62:50, if 52 isn't quick enough, get his world record. I mean, at one point in Getich, by the way, for quite a lot of this race, all the way up until about 15K, was on for sub 62 minutes. How would the world reacted if we saw a 209 and a few weeks later we saw a 61 and change?
yeah,
Um, and I was watching it, Lum, and she went through the first 5K, bang on my PB, 14:39. That was up at Barrowford Podium, so actually, 10 years is next weekend. But yeah, put a few more of those back, put a few more of those together, and yeah, I think she went through halfway or 10K in about 29:20, which It's just bonkers.
Yeah, ridiculous split, and I guess she just needs to have one more crack, right? Because she's obviously blown
It
up a
was a
little
bit. It
bit.
was
But
too aggressive. Yeah, she
yeah,
she was easily capable of the world record.
yeah,
She was just so aggressive, and I think she's almost watched like Chepengetich from a few weeks ago and being like, "Well, look, it pays to be bold. Let's see what happens." Similar thing as well. She had two extremely good paces, just side by side. She was tucked in behind them, and they're just going hell for leather. And it's again, it's nuts to see the elite woman, inside the top 15 banging on the door of a top 10 at something like a Valencia half marathon.
mm,
Like this is not any old tin pot half. This is like Valencia. I
yeah,
think she would have broke into the top 10 not the top 20, sorry. I haven't got the results today. But yeah,
yeah. You think like, is it worth some of these top women go into like a more slightly low key half and actually just
winning the whole
taking
thing.
taking the win?
Mate, how many half marathons is she winning there and putting some really good men to bed? Like,
Yeah,
hey, if she not to say she would run that. And to be fair, at the end of the day, she went and ran, 63:03. So we're talking hypothetical here if she hung on and broke 62 or ran 62 low. But yeah, I mean, what was Big Half and stuff wanting this year?
mm, that's the
Like
thing.
bench.
Like how does the prize money? How's the prize structuring work there when you start? Like, surely it's got to change at some point when you start like mixing the results, mixing so much. I don't know.
People reckon they should just sweep it, right? So if there was a situation where a woman won, um, okay, let's say Big Half because that is usually won in like 62:30 to 63, right? So potentially, but there's no way and get it actually wins and runs that fast on that course. I don't think. But anyway, let's just say she wins a race. People are just saying you would sweep it, you'd take the male prize money as well, double the prize money. Let's
Yeah,
ask Chris Barnes. I'm sure has he thought of this? It could happen at podium. Um, Not to say he's got Nagetics there, but it could happen at podium at some point. Podium festival in March, maybe. We saw Gebriwet. Could he get Ngetic? There you go, Chris. There's some homework for you.
yeah, he needs something to do. But yeah, so
Messi break 14.
yeah,
Oh God.
yeah, phenomenal stuff with Valencia, and I think it's just what we've come to expect from it. And obviously, we've got the marathon coming up in what, a month now, so there'll be plenty more action there. Unfortunately, didn't really get to see any Brits, or many Brits, sorry, up there. I think Clara Evans obviously
Welsh record?
coming off the Olympics. Yeah, like another Welsh record for her. So super impressive run. But yeah, like not as many as we're accustomed to see. Like we've come
Well, I was
go through the start list, and it's
yeah,
just
man. I mean,
great
Zach
after great
Mohammed
after
ran
great.
well. Yeah, Zach Mohammed ran well, 62.0. Nice PB for him, but we were expected to see Emil Caress, right? Didn't see him, so
Yeah.
and unfortunately got no intel to why he didn't line up. Maybe an injury, maybe just not quite feeling as good as he wanted to really give it a crack.
Well, I think that's the thing with Emil right now, right? Like you're at the
There's no
level
rush.
where you don't need to race if you're not ready to pop a big one. And obviously, again, like we always mention how he's working with Canova. I'm sure if Canova's like, yeah, there's just no point. Like he's not. He will race when he needs to race. And yeah, he's at the level where we will not see Emil Caress unless it's right for him or like perfect for him.
I think this is the difference between, like I said at the start, someone like Kajelcha is he's not coming off a marathon. He's coming off some really good 5 and 10s in the summer, and he's obviously, got some mileage in, really worked on the aerobic engine just towards the back end of this autumn period, and then he's been in a position to really crack that world record. And I do think, for Emil to run 59 something, I think he is going to have to get some potentially faster races in his legs over 10K. Because he's probably he's definitely capable of a sub 60. We know that, but I think he'll want more. And to really get the best out of yourself in a half, I think you do have to go a little bit under distance. You look at anyone who is a kind of marathon runner stepping down to the half, they do struggle.
Mm.
Like they just can't. They just can't. I mean, hell, look at Chepengetich, her half marathon records. Someone like springs to mind. Like it is hard to really get that speed and turnover and feel good at that pace when you've been training for marathons. So maybe he just wasn't shaping up as well, but we'll see. Might find out some rumors at Mansfield. If I do, I'll let them straight on the Sunday podcast. I'm
Absolutely.
joking. I'm joking. I respect my sources.
Respect your sources. Okay, we'll see about that. But yeah, mate, you also mentioned Zach Mohammed. He's racing next weekend at Cardiff Cross, coming straight back.
He is, mate. Yeah, Cardiff Cross lineups. Oshia Perrin as well. I guess those two are the leading Brits at the moment. Niels Lauris is doing it on the men's side, so I think that will be exciting. There's a whole bunch of Dutch people coming over, men's and women's side as well, including the under 23 champ. But yeah, you got Kenneth Kiprop, Vincent Moutai. These guys all did it last year. Kiprop took the win, Kibet as well. And yeah, there's plenty of Kenyans, Ugandans, and Ethiopians um, coming to town. So it's going to be fast up at the front. Alex Bell's doing it on the women's side. Izzy Fry, Kate Axford, of course, Innes Fitzgerald. Still in the under 20 race, which is nuts. You think about um, that winning margin last year. So yeah, all to look forward to at Cardiff Cross. Haven't got that, to be honest. That's all the names I can tell you. I mean, Ephraim Gede of Team Macau and Ireland doing it as well. That's pretty much all I can give you. So I'm sure there's a lot of domestic athletes in there. Once the entries get finalised in the next couple of days. But
Yeah,
I'm
and
looking forward to seeing Laros.
yeah, we'll see how people get on. The course looking good. I ran past there yesterday. Went for a little jog past the course, and it's looking good as always. Like that Cardiff Cross course has been really good over the past few years since they moved it over slightly. So yeah, it's looks good
Is it
under.
firm? Is it soft? Because last year it was a sticky soft mud last year, which was sapping. So
Well, I would say it looks good now. It almost looks American right now. But the amount of rain, I think after a couple races, it's just going to churn up. But
turn up.
it's still like mown. It's like the course is mown out in.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so it's looking great, but yeah, it will
Yeah,
get churned.
I
Yeah,
love what I love what they do there. But also another guy that I forgot to mention, Stefan Nielsen, who obviously ninth at the Olympic Games over the 1500. And yeah, won the under 23s last year. So he had a great breakout kind of season this year. So some strong 1500-meter Dutchman coming to town. So yeah, Cardiff Cross, one to certainly look forward to. And mate, I mean that's pretty much it. There hasn't been too much going on. Obviously, next week we'll be back with a big review of Mansfield, really breaking that down, and obviously New York Marathon, which is gonna take place this weekend, which is on Sunday. And I'm sure, well, there's no point me saying about well, I guess I should probably say about a live stream. Some people listen early on Sunday morning. Um, don't they? So I'm pretty sure it's on the is it on the World Athletics? Is it on the World Athletics? I think. I'm reading just right now. Eurosport in Europe might be on Eurosport for you Sky viewers. It's usually on Eurosport. To be fair, I've usually watched it on there, so that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
There you go, mate. Yeah, we get a few people who listen at midnight, mate, on a Saturday night. Very early hours of Sunday. So shout out to you guys listening first. But no, yeah, so that I guess that leads us on to Georgia Bell, and you'll be pleased to know like it was great to have her back. Obviously we spoke to her, I believe, in February, a week out from the British indoor champs, when I guess coming back and winning a British indoor gold was a big story. After the time she had off, and obviously now she won Olympic bronze medal in Paris. So look, you all know Georgia Bell's story, but it was great to chat to her just how that past 6-9 months has been.
Yeah.
Progressing from being like coming back and becoming a top domestic athlete to becoming the third best athlete in the world, over the 1500 meters, which is just
Still,
it's just
yeah.
phenomenal, isn't it?
Still can't get over it. Yeah, we also break down M11 Track Club, talk about that, talk about the new additions. And clickbaity, I asked her if she's going to be financially better off going pro. Find out.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, again, congratulations to her and her husband for getting married like a few weeks ago or whatnot. But yeah, she kept it on the quiet when we spoke to her. So that's why there's no wedding talk on the podcast. So but look, enjoy the running talk, and we'll catch you guys very, very soon. Okay, Georgia, first off, welcome back. And of course, congratulations on, I guess, a pretty, from the outside anyway, a pretty unprecedented season, right? Olympic bronze, European silver, and a British record. I kind of ask people this, but could it have gone any better? Of course, maybe it could have done, but realistically, could it have gone much better than that?
No, I don't think so. I think it was literally like the dream season. I think like when I came onto the podcast last time with you guys, it was before I had won British indoors. So we'd kind of like had some indicators of like fast times, but nothing championship yet. So like I was obviously hoping that any opportunity I had in the championship that I would medal, if not win. So yeah, I mean, I'm obviously just over the moon, dream summer.
Life has fully changed for you. We were just talking off air how I was going
Yeah.
to say, how is unemployed life, but you're very much employed and you're adjusting to that professional lifestyle.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, it's a bit of an adjustment, but I kind of slammed the laptop shut totally since May 1st.
Mm,
At that point, it was just a sabbatical, and the plan was come back in September, but then September came around. Things have obviously changed with me, which meant that yeah, I was able to go and get a different original deal from what I had got, and yeah, work were very understanding about not coming back to the office. So yeah, just adjusting, just kind of coming back into running after an off season, and yeah, all good.
Mm.
This might be a cheeky question, but I'm intrigued. I'm sure our listeners are intrigued. Are you better off financially now than when you were working?
It's a good question. So I had worked for like 7 years
Mm,
in the career that I was in cybersecurity tech sales, and tech sales is a good job because it's like
mm,
commission based, like there's no limit on what you can earn. So it was if I had not been in that situation, I think it would have been a way easier decision. I think probably long term I would have earned more money in that role,
mm,
but it was enough of a change, let's just say, that I was like happy
mm,
to park everything. But yeah, I think you've had people on the podcast that talk about this before, where it's like you go from earning nothing running, and then if you make it into like a good category, like you're winning medals on the global stage, there is a ridiculous jump. And it's just really tough for the people that I think are in the middle that are like pretty good, but they're not quite on that podium level. And hopefully that will change in running. I'm sure we'll get into it today, but there's obviously a lot more opportunities opening up, prize money, competitions. I think it's a really good time to be an athlete. So that influenced my decision as well, just looking at what's changing over the next year.
Mm. Absolutely. I'm sure we'll get into some of that stuff later on. But first, I just want to talk about, I guess, the first few months you had where you were kind of on that sabbatical. What were the biggest changes you noticed, I guess, in your physical preparation, but I guess also your mental preparation as well?
Yeah, I mean, I just used to start the day and it would just be ridiculous looking back. Like, I don't know how I really did it for as long as I did, but like just crazy early wake ups, like getting up at like 6 a.m. to cycle before work starts, then sitting down at my desk for 8:39, and then basically be on back-to-back calls. Like I might be able to run and get some lunch in the kitchen or a coffee or something throughout the day, but then sitting down at the desk until I would go out and train again in the evening at like 7, and going to bed at 10. So then obviously going pro meant that I could wake up at like 9:30, so sleep like straight through. And all I'd have to do all day is train twice. And I just had so much more time to recover, time to stretch every morning before I would even think about leaving the house. Like, just then had time to go and do physio, get appointments that previously I would never have been able to, because they were just at awkward points in the day for me. So it was just like immediately less stressed and immediately a lot more time rich, which I think factored a lot into recovery and just being able to turn up on the start line feeling like $1 million versus feeling like super frazzled and all over the place.
Yeah, because your progression even from the season was just astronomical. It was just unbelievable, and that is probably one of the reasons, would you say, that really helped you absorb all that training and just get faster and faster throughout the season?
Yeah, I think hands down, if you look at the point, like in indoor season, I was trying so hard to break 4:03. I really wanted to run the Olympic qualifying time. And I just ran about 4:03 about 5 times. And then pretty much as soon as I got into outdoor season, which aligned with the sabbatical,
Mhm.
it was like four dead, 3:56, 3:52. Like it was just the kind of, yeah, you can literally track the progression from the day that I stopped working. So yeah, I think it's an absolutely huge factor. And I kind of knew that anyway. Like there's a reason that people who are the best in the world are not also working full time. Like you need all the things that you need to do. And I've obviously seen it in my training group. Like I knew it was going to need to take that, which is why I said to work, I was like, you don't understand, like to make it to the Olympics, and I don't know if I am going to go, but to make it, I have to stop working beforehand to like give myself a couple of months of that so that when we get to race day, like I have a shot at British champs. And yeah, it paid off.
Mm. Can you think of any kind of, I guess, turning points, performances, races where I guess you thought to yourself, I've arrived, or I can compete with the best in the world, or did you still kind of have this, I guess, take each race that comes attitude all the way to the games?
Yeah, I think lining up this season has been really fun because like we just didn't know where I was at the whole time. Every I think the main one was just that first race in January at the indoors where I ran 4:03. I was going into that race to try and run the world indoor qualifying time, which was 4:06. And so the goal was run 4:06, and then we just smashed way past that on the first shot. We by running yeah 3 seconds under, and I think that just set the tone all season of like time wise, you have an idea in mind, but we just really don't know where I am, and so I was just trying at every race to go for it. But I think there were some indicators along the way, like at Prefontaine, which was my yeah, at Prefontaine in May, I did a four dead running a very kind of measured race. I just needed to get the standard ticked off there. So I wasn't really racing it. I was just like trying to keep a close eye to the clock and run times. So doing that, I thought off the back of that, once I start racing, there's surely a lot more wiggle room.
Mhm.
I didn't think I'd run 3:52 though. I'm gonna be honest. Like that was a big shock to me when I crossed the line. I think you can see by my face. I was like just yeah, completely freaked out by the time. But yeah, very, very happy obviously as well.
It's it's what the Olympics is all about. I think, especially in distance running, you always get those athletes. I mean, almost like Kelly Holmes, like how shocked she was when she did the double as
Mm.
well. Like it was similar. You
Yeah,
talk
and I
about
don't know if you've seen that photo of Keely as well. Like it's exactly like Trev put it up. But it's like Keely from 2019 or 2020, whenever
yeah.
yeah, Olympics was. She crossed the line and she's got her hands on the head. And again, she knew she had a medal, but she was completely freaked out by the time and had run a British record. And mine was basically exactly the same. And so now we're like 2028, who in the training group is it going to be? I'm doing that.
Plenty coming through. But you talk about times and not kind of setting limits on yourself there. But I want to talk about your racing record because over the course of the season, I mean, actually, Forte put this up the other day, and I was super grateful. I was like, right, it's something else to talk about. Like 17 races,
I think it was
14,
actually 19. I think they got it slightly wrong, but yeah, 19.
19.
Cat-
Josh Lane,
Dobbing them in, dobbing them in.
Sorry, Jack.
Look, 19 races and well, 14 of them, perhaps more than with the extra two, you finished inside the top three. You
Mhm.
were a serious, serial racer.
Yeah, I think it's because I've had like a big break off racing, but and maybe I'll be super fatigued at it at one point in the future, but I'm still at the phase where I love racing. And I honestly think I'm a better competitor than I am an athlete. Like, don't get me wrong, obviously you've got to
Mhm.
be fit to be able to run those times. But I think the way how I see racing and like the rise that it gets out of me and the big pressure moments, I think I'm able to perform better than people who beat me in training every day, for example. So it's like that's for me, I want to say yes to every opportunity of racing. And yeah, I think bar a few where I was like just pretty cooked. Like I got the right kind of, yeah, mentally and physically was just really read up to go and race.
In both the 8 and the 15 as well. And I think that shows, like you said, the ability to just go up a gear.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The 8 has been so fun to do, like just because it's been like no pressure at all. And I still think probably the most fun race all season was that one in the London Diamond League with me, Keely, and Gemma. Like that was just so fun. Like we just knew we were going to go so quick. The whole stadium like cheering us on, and then the Brit 1, 2, 3, and it's just like yeah. Obviously, the 1500 at the Olympics was really cool, pretty epic like on its own, but I think that was the most fun I've had in a race, that one in London.
Kind of shit, what sharing that moment with those girls. And were you
Yeah,
talking? I wonder what the atmosphere was like pre-race in the call room, you know, with you because you know each other very, very well in that situation.
yeah, like it was pretty, it was like it was relaxed, but it was
Mm.
also like I felt like we just knew we were gonna go fast. Like obviously Keely was going for 154. We knew that she would do that. Erin was pacing it out. He's also in our training group. For me, it was like we just don't know where you are. Like just have fun, like hang on as long as you can. So for me, there was literally I felt like no pressure. Um, and yeah, it was just set up perfectly. So yeah, everyone was in a good mood, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked like that. Matt and I chatted after the 800 at the Olympics as well, and we were kind of saying, look, we think you could have medaled in the 800. I'm just wondering if you had any thoughts on that yourself, or maybe
Yeah.
you considered that at the time.
Yeah, no, so I did. Like after I did that London race and I realized that I was the third fastest in the world that year, I was like, oh my God, why am I not going for the 8? Like I was looking at the lineup for the 15 and I was like, like this is stacked. Like surely I have a better shot of getting a medal in the 8 now.
Mm.
But I hadn't run the qualifying time by British champs. So that kind of made it easy. It's not like we had the choice of two and I like picked the wrong one. But it definitely gave me extra fuel of I was like, if I've got to get a medal in the 15 now because like I truly feel like I surely was in a position to medal in the 8. I mean, who knows? Racing it rounds, I think, is a whole different ball game. And yeah, doing the double as well is something that I've realized is too difficult.
Mm.
I know Kelly Holmes did it, but like my last race at the end of the season, I did the Brussels double and I was like really up for that. And like it's just so hard. Like the 800 went okay, but the 1500 the next day, it's just like I just didn't have the turn of pace, the switch. And like I've spoken to a couple of people about it. I spoke to George Mills because he did the double at the Olympics
Mm.
across a different event, but I also spoke to Hobbs Kessler and Celestia just to get his take. And we all agreed that like it's obviously better to like medal in one than come
Mhm.
fifth or make the final in both. And I just think now I just think it's really hard to do that.
Yeah. In events that are just so, so competitive as well, like now more than ever. So that kind of makes sense. I mean, on the racing part and especially that Olympic bronze, like, you know, what role does intuition play in your races? You mentioned you love it. Strategy going in, like how much of it's pre-planned versus just kind of in the moment decision making?
Yeah, I think one thing that I don't know if it's from all my younger years of racing or like being a bit more like more mature and then therefore braver in the moment because you're just going to make the most of every opportunity. But I do think I have quite good racing instincts. So like making quick decisions in the race to go. And like Trev and Jen always say that afterwards. They're like, that was the move there. And like I can't even really remember making that move. But obviously something in the moment was like go. So at the Olympics, they were like, that was the move at 400 to go. There were still loads of us there but I just found a gap and like went through loads of people and got right on the back of Jess Hull at that
Mhm.
point. But yeah, there was definitely a strategy going in. It was a simple strategy, basically just go with it, but just don't get dropped. And yeah, like don't I knew I wouldn't be going to the front. Like as soon as we went in that final in Paris, I could feel how quick it was. And so yeah, I think I was like eighth for like a decent amount of the race, just like making sure that a gap didn't open up, but like always being able to see the person that was at the back of that front group. Um, and yeah, I really just wanted to make sure in that race that I crossed the line and was literally collapsed over the line on the floor, couldn't have given it anything more. And yeah, that was the case. And so it was more like dig deep in the middle, where usually I would be a bit more conservative, um, and just think it was too far out to push. And yeah, just try and finish strong, which yeah, luckily happened.
Mm.
And with that, when did you know that you were gonna get the medal? Because I guess no matter where you are, like position in terms of
Yeah,
kind of like on the track, but you always know when you have another gear or when you're
yeah.
gonna start moving. At what point did it kind of sink in? Was it after you crossed the line, or do you think, oh, I'm gonna do this as you go?
Yeah, like I obviously knew when I knew when I crossed the line that I had done it, but I don't know what it was about that day, but I honestly knew that day I was going to do it.
Mm.
Like I woke up that morning and I just was going to get a medal and that was that. And like I hope I have that mentality in the future. I hope that's not just like a one-off flip. But yeah, like the fact that I was born in Paris, like the fact that I had quit and come back, like I just felt so calm on the start line. I knew I was going to do it. Like I knew it was going to be so painful, but like I just really truly believed that I would do it. And so even like in the home straight when I was fourth, I wasn't even like panicking. I was like, I'm
Mm.
gonna do it. Like I can't really describe it, and I hope I have that kind of delusion again because yeah, like I really do think if you go in with that mindset, like there's no doubt. The only thing I had doubts about or had fear about was how painful it was going to be. Like I was really
Mm.
knew that it was really, really going to hurt, but I didn't have any doubts about like whether I would be able to push through, which
Yeah.
maybe sounds like cocky, but I honestly think like to be at that level and getting a medal at the Olympics, if you don't have that on the start line, you won't get a medal anyway.
No,
Mm.
I think it's spot on.
Mm. And you mentioned that home straight as well, and that's what I mean. You can see it. You can see you running down the home straight, and you're not panicking. You're not thinking, "I'm not
Mhm.
going to get there in time." You almost, yeah, like you say, it was like you knew that you're just going to get there in time, and you weren't going to run out of track.
Yeah, I wish I dipped a little bit harder and got second because it was like quite close at the end there. But yeah, I knew it would come down to a dip as well. Yeah. So I was practicing in my apartment in the Olympic Villages. The sprinting girls were helping me with my dip. So Amy Hunt and Hannah Kelly, they were like, "This is how you do it." Um, so they probably got me some help in those final stages.
Honestly, just even the fact you were like practicing that in, I guess, what would have been a bit of a jokey manner is just,
Yeah.
but you were almost like manifesting, like you said, you just knew on the day that it was going to happen. This is crazy.
Yeah, I don't know, like, yeah, as I say, who knows if that happens again? I really hope it
Mm.
will. But I had that same feeling, to be honest, on British indoor champs. Like, I just
Mm.
really felt like it was going to happen that day. British outdoors, I thought I would get a place. I didn't know if I would win, but I
Mm.
was really hoping to, obviously. And then Europeans, I didn't know if I'd be able to win. And I think honestly, had I had the mindset that I had in Paris, I would have won. Like I said, just saying, like I'm going to win today, and that's
Yeah.
that. So
Where do you think it comes from then? Is that just training? You mentioned Paris, that link being born there and quitting and coming back and stuff. So maybe a little bit of that, but does that just come from, yeah, the training, the races you've done in the build up?
yeah, I mean, I'm lucky that this season has just been there's been like no bad races, and not to say that there won't be bad races in the future, but I'm very lucky that this season it's just been so much momentum. So every time I've stood on the start line, I just have no reason to have any doubts. No training's been going really well. Just have loads of support that I was just standing on the start line every time, just feeling really, really confident. And yeah, I think those are the athletes that are most dangerous, you know, like where they have no pressure on them because they're a bit of a like newcomer, I guess. And also like things are just going really well for them. Those are the ones that can really seize the opportunity. So I'm looking out for those people in the race rather than necessarily like the big names. So yeah, it won't be the same from now on. Like I won't have that kind of no pressure on my back situation. There'll be pressure now.
Yeah, I guess have you had those discussions with Trevor? And you know, you've got Keely as a training partner who obviously knows exactly what that feels like, of how to kind of cope with the
Yeah.
differences from going from underdog to now it's like, oh, this is Georgia Bell, everyone knows who you are.
Yeah, like it's something that I've spoken with Keely about a little bit, and she said, yeah, it is a change because like she went in, we have very similar kind of progressions into what happened at our Olympics. Like she was kind of having this amazing season, getting better and better, then won British champs, then ran the British record in the final and got a medal. Like that's basically what happened to me. And she said this Olympics going in is a completely different mindset, like going in to win the race versus in going in to hope that you get a medal. So yeah, it will be interesting to see. It'll be more of a mental thing, I think, because physically not much is gonna change. You know, I'm keeping with the same training group. We'll be adding new stuff in, and hopefully I will get faster. But I think it is going to be all kind of mental.
Pre-race then, obviously having Trevor and Jenny in your corner. What was kind of the last thing they said to you before you went in?
Yeah, Trevor always says to me the same thing before a race. He just says, "Go and have fun, kid." So like we didn't change that. He kept saying that. But yeah, having them there was just a constant level of support and calm. Trevor's there making his dad jokes right till the very end, like keeping it relaxed. And every day we would just like kind of have a meeting about the race. So we would do it for the heats, the semi and the final, like go through everyone in the race, go through different ways of how the race could go. And yeah, just complete support with them. It was Trev's birthday as well, the day of the final. So like he had like the best day ever.
It really was just meant to be. Bloody hell, so many
Yeah,
things.
I really do feel like that. It's meant I just yeah, really did feel like it was meant to be.
Goodness me. One of the questions you know I wanted to ask was, I think on the outside, a lot of people and you may be surprised the level you're able to achieve, and I think it comes across as almost like you've made it look easy. You've made what you've done look like anyone could do it. And obviously that's not the case. And you know when we previously spoke to you earlier on in the year you were like, yeah, did a lot of cycling, cross training and stuff, but surely there must have been something through that time that's really benefited you now because not everyone can go from sort of 5K park runner is the cliche that the you know the media's calling you to an Olympic medalist.
I know. I feel like everyone thinks it's literally like couch to 5K to Olympic medal,
Yeah.
which is probably why like
You could write that program, by the way.
yeah, which is why like a quarter of Brits think that they can get a gold medal at 2028 or whatever the recent poll was, probably. I mean, like, there's not any one thing. I think what we mentioned earlier of actually taking the break, it was obviously game changing for the recovery aspect of it, and then all the extras like adding in strength and conditioning, physio, stretching, all of that stuff that I just wasn't doing beforehand. So there's that, but like, yeah, the cross training, that's not going to change. It's still part of my program. I just think that I had the foundations of being a really good athlete, and we got a glimpse of it originally with Trevor when I was 21
Mm.
and trained under him. But then along the way, just the setup was completely wrong. The injuries came, the path was wrong, and it just didn't work out. And now I'm back with this coach that works perfectly for me, part of a world class program, stopped working. Yeah, no injuries, another year of building instead of trying to come back and find fitness. And yeah, I just think it's a combination of lots of different things coming together.
Mm.
It would be great if I could say that there was like one specific workout that did it all. Like,
No, but I think you must get a little bit frustrated when maybe you don't, but when people just go, oh, she was just so talented. Because I think what I'm trying to say, you put in a lot of work, or you must have put in a lot of work, and yes, you're talented, but
yeah.
it takes more than that to be an Olympic medalist.
Yeah, I feel like people forget as well. They're just like, oh, she's had like this, like, this is definitely my breakout season, don't get me wrong. But it's not like I started running in January.
Yeah.
Like, did my first track race when I was 10 years old. So, like, you can either see it as, oh, she's had this breakthrough so quickly, or you can see it as bloody hell, it's literally taken her 20 years to get here. That's ages.
Mhm.
So I think, yeah, people just have to, yeah, look at the longevity a little
Yeah.
bit. But yeah, obviously there's a lot of hard work that goes into it behind the scenes, but you just, yeah, you just get so used to it. Like you've just been doing it for so long, it's routine. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, post medal then. At what point does it settle down? Does the kind of the noise, the media, people like us, kind of requesting podcast interviews, when does that settle down, or has it not really yet?
I think it has settled down a little bit. Like there's the odd thing, mainly just kind of like in the running world that's picking up. Like the first week was pretty hectic. Like I don't think I really slept properly for 2 days because it was just straight into like post race, like after you get through everything at the stadium, like lap of honor, media, drug testing, podium, like all that stuff. Then I went to meet all my friends and family who were there in Paris. Then you got media, so you've got to be up at 6:30 a.m. So like the whole week prior is a bit of a whirlwind. But then yeah, things normalized. They've normalized a little bit. But yeah, I'm just adjusting to what new life is as a pro athlete and not having to wake up every day and log onto my computer to jump on Zoom calls for tech sales. So it's a bit of an adjustment, but I'm liking it so far.
hmm and you mentioned nothing's going to change training wise. There's been a few new names added to the group
Yeah,
that we've seen. So the group is going to get bigger.
it's
Um,
gonna get bigger. Yeah.
yeah, you must be excited about that. Does Trevor run these by the group? Is
Yeah,
Trevor
there's
coming in?
meetings. Yeah, we have discussions in the group. Like ultimately, they make the decision and they know what's best. Yeah, I think like definitely at this point, they know what they're doing. Our request is always like, don't take on too many people though, because you still want the right amount of attention from them and just support, which obviously more people in more time is required from them and they're very like caring, so they want to give a lot to everyone. They get so many people messaging to ask
I
to join
bet.
the group, like from like 7-year-olds to 34-year-olds, like it is everything. And so there's a lot of new boys coming into the group, which is interesting. So I think yeah, Ethan Hussey's come in,
Mhm,
Robert, the French guy, and
mhm.
a few others. So I think it'll be really good on the guy side as well. And yeah, we've got some new girls joining too. I mean, anything that just makes us better, right? Like when I came in last year, I I don't know what everyone probably thought at first, but now everyone's got faster, like including me, obviously. So that can only be a good thing. Like I just think everyone sees it that way. Like we want to be the best. We need to keep stepping it up every year.
Mhm.
So it's going to require bringing in new people to kind of keep it that way as well.
Have you thought about relocating up north? I mean, Jake Whiteman's made the switch. That's
I
in
know, I
league.
heard. Yeah. I won't be at least for this year. Like we've
Mm.
just got a few like family situations, so we're gonna stay local in London, but I will be going to all of the camps properly. So like a month in November, January, April. And yeah, going to Manchester a little bit more frequently, and more specified. So one area that I really need to develop this year is my strength and conditioning.
Mm.
Not very strong in the gym at all. So and I do feel like I can see that in the first 200 meters of my 800 meters. Like I cannot get out fast. I can come through, but like I need to develop that. And so going up to Manchester to get proper strength and conditioning from some of the physios there and a plan is going to be really important for me.
Mm.
So no relocation yet. Still a London girl.
And with kind of that location stuff and getting involved with the group, I just wanted to know how many kind of actual proper track sessions you've done with Keely, and with that, what do you think she could run for 1500?
She'll definitely, I think like right now, we speak about it a lot, and she'll definitely do one soon. I reckon she'd easily run like a 4:03, like, but if in a prop once you've done a couple, she'll go sub four, obviously. Like I think if you're running 1:54, like you definitely have got a sub four in you.
Mm.
It's more just like mentally, I think it seems quite long. I'm sure, like if you're more a 400, 800, then 1500 is like a long way. But yeah, we'll see. And then proper sessions, like we do a lot of the kind of more strength-based sessions, like so like a lot of hills in South Africa we'll do together, and some of the strength-based stuff, so more like tempo-y, longer reps on the grass we'll do together. But the track workouts are very specific. So she usually does like 400 sessions almost. And then
Mm.
I'm doing more of the 1500 stuff. So I'll probably do a track session with her like once every 2 weeks, something like that. Not loads.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, a quick one for a lot of our listeners as well, because some of them are travel abroad and stuff. They're on the circuit, sub elite level. I just want to know as well, how did you manage to just cope with so much travel? Because you couldn't have been used to it. And, it wasn't like you've been on the circuit for years and years and years, and you must have traveled. I don't know how many planes you took this year.
Yeah, I know my eco footprint is probably really bad, but yeah, that's just how it is, I guess. Like you the races are just abroad and that's that. There were periods of time where it is really brutal. Like it's one thing if the races are in a big city and it's close by, but when they're in kind of a bit rogue places and you fly to the airport, but then it's like 2 hours from there, it can be really, really draining if your flight gets delayed and stuff. So yeah, it's hard to deal with, and you've really got to make sure you get enough sleep, take probiotics and electrolytes as well to try and not get run down. That was something that even before the Olympics, Team GB were like, it's really important that you keep your immune systems up. So like you need to be making sure that you're doing all of these extra things, especially when you're traveling and you're getting run down, because yeah, otherwise you're just all these 1% make a difference.
And that was in the form of, like you said, taking probiotics, electrolytes,
Yeah,
sleeping, make sure you get 8 hours,
yeah,
whatever in.
yeah,
Mm.
exactly. Like you've got to be really disciplined about it, like, and yeah, just try and make really good habits. Because otherwise, yeah, you can get really run down really quickly.
Mm.
Yeah, and opportunities going forward. Then, obviously, you mentioned earlier that kind of the sport is really picking up in terms of the financial side at the top end, and also a few more meets as well. Like, I'm sure you've got some opportunities outside of running, post Olympics as well.
Yeah, like interesting things that I wouldn't have expected. Like I've had a few like corporate companies come to me to do like talks and stuff, and I was like, really? So like those kind of things are popping up, which are interesting. But yeah, also on the track too, then there's obviously things like we've seen with Grand Slam and Athos. Um, and then on as a knock-on impact on that, Diamond League are increasing their money. So it's just like all of the opportunities have increased. So it's not like other sports like footballers or whatever, but it is like the best time to be a track athlete, I think now.
Grand Slam. Surely you look at that as a 8:15 runner, probably one of the best 8:15 runners in the world, if not the best. Like
Mhm.
that is right up your street. Do you want to be a part of that? You might not be
Yeah,
able to.
so like when obviously I heard about it, I was like, that is if there was ever a meet that was made for me, then
That's it.
that's it. And yeah, we are in talks at the moment. At the end of the day, though, nothing is more important than winning medals. Like that's what Trevor
Mm,
and Jen say, and I agree with that. Like winning as many championships as you can or medaling. There are three big championships next year with European indoors, World indoors, and World outdoors. And the schedule is not great for Grand Slam when it comes to crossing over with that. Like it would really impact training blocks.
mm.
And so you kind of have to look at, would you rather get a paycheck or would you rather get a medal, which in the long term would be more money? So yeah,
Mm.
still deciding, still umming and ahhing. There is the opportunity with Grand Slam to be a challenger. So you come into the selected races that you want to do and you can still get the full prize pot. So yeah, that I'm still deciding. I'm sure you guys will hear soon what I
This is
do.
exciting. Yeah, I think there might be a few athletes in that position
Mm.
as well. So, and then just finally, how do you level up to gold? You look at someone like Kipyegon. You were fearless this year.
Mhm.
Is she low-key unbeatable? But surely you're going to say no. But
Like, yeah, there was a point in the Olympics where I was like, I'm gonna win, like I'm gonna beat her. Like I beat her in the heat. And I was like, oh my God, the unbeatable Faith Kipyegon, I just beat
yeah.
her. Which obviously it doesn't matter in the heat, obviously. But more like mentally, I was like, oh, so I
Yeah.
have actually done it. I think she is so amazing, and I could see her easily going to LA and doing it a fourth time. Like she's just insane. She's got an insane kick as well as being able to hold that like 5K pace as well. I think that's one thing that makes her really unique. It's not like you usually have one or the other. Like you've got really good strength like Jakob, which can just go out really, really fast and then can't quite hold on, but she can kick really hard too. So, but I just don't think I think anyone can have a day. Like so yeah, I mean, who's to say? I'm sure she'll keep running so well and getting really fast and pulling us all through with her, which is great. But yeah, I think anyone's beatable on the day as long as you're lining up, you've got the number on, like
Mhm.
people can fall over, people can be sick, like you never know what can happen. So yeah, anyone is beatable.
And with that, if Faith Kipyegon is beatable, then I guess how quick do you think you can go? Because I think it would take something pretty quick. And I know Trevor has regularly kind of said about people like Keely's kind of said, "Oh, we know what sort of times you can run." Are there any kind of indications at what time you might be able to run, or maybe your own thoughts?
Yeah, I really don't know because I didn't think that I'd be able to run 3:52 this year. I did think I'd be able to run like three. I remember running the 3:56 in the Paris Diamond League and really feeling like I had a lot left and being a bit
Mm.
frustrated. So I thought I'd maybe be able to go like a couple seconds quicker. But I don't know, like a year of being a pro, instead of just 4 months basically of being a pro, like you would think that I'd be able to improve on that 3:52 in the right race. Yeah, I'd obviously love to go sub 3:50.
Mm.
So yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll have another conversation this time in a year at the end of season 2025 and see if I've been able to do it. I think Faith will go quicker next year, Like I
Mm.
think she's gonna stop at 3:49. I think Jess will go quicker. Jess has like I feel like had the same thing this year where she's just been like I'm
Mm.
just going to stop putting a limit on myself and just go for it and see. And then, like, obviously, she massively surprised herself. So now it kind of has made the whole field go, I'm going to do that too. Like Faith is closer than she's ever been. Um, and yeah, hopefully we'll get quicker next year.
It's scary. I think one of the reasons for that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like it's that first lap. You guys are just setting off with so much intent now. Like even you ran a 60 first lap at the games, something like that, and you were down in seventh or whatever, and then you're closing in that as well. So all you're looking at
Yeah,
is like a couple seconds in the middle there, and yourself, Hull, Muir, the Americans, like you all could go crashing through it because
yeah,
consistently, even in Diamond Leagues now, the first lap is just like 59, 60, 61.
yeah.
You just got
It
to have
is.
the day.
It is crazy. It's so crazy, and that's why I think things like positioning become even more important because you're like so in the red anyway, like you've done a 61st lap and then you've like got an 800 in the middle before you finish like that. Yeah, those things are going to get even more important because I just don't know if we'll ever have races anymore in championships where it's slow and then with the pickup. That's why I loved British Champs this year. Like I thought it
Mhm.
would go off really quick and it was slow and came down to the last lap. I was like, ideal for me. Like, but we're never gonna see that in an Olympic final or a world final. I just don't think anymore. So yeah, it's crazy.
Mhm.
Look, we're looking forward to watching some of those races unfold. But thanks so much for coming back on the pod, Georgia.
Oh no, thanks guys. Thanks for keeping me up to date. I still listen to you to get all my information about like what's going on in the world of
About the
running.
road relays.
Yeah, so like yeah, you guys better be accurate because yeah, you're my like one source of truth.
God, I'm not sure about accurate. Goodness me.
Yeah, try our best.